Hi, I'm James with Magnolia Garden Center. Today I'm here to talk about seed starting indoors. We get a lot of questions about what seeds should I start? And well, I have two short answers for that. One is grow what you're going to eat. It's kind of that simple. And number two, grow what's going to make the biggest difference between flavor-wise what you can buy at the grocery store. And for me and many other gardeners, that's tomatoes. Tomatoes, they have, a distinctly bolder flavor when homegrown versus bought at the grocery store. So today we're going to talk about growing tomatoes in the Pacific Northwest, which can be challenging due to our temperate climate and cool weather, but certainly not impossible. I think most home gardeners will, buy their tomato starts as already growing plants after the fear of frost. But I think one of the most rewarding things, besides just growing tomatoes in general, is to start them from seed. So today we're going to be growing San Marzano, which is it's a type of sauce tomato similar to Roma, but in my opinion has much better flavor than a standard Roma tomato. So there's a couple key components to understand when it comes to starting seeds. They have three basic requirements. They need heat, they need moisture, and they need light. When starting indoors, there's some tricks to that. First thing you're going to need to start your seeds indoors is, well, obviously your seeds. Today we're just going to do tomatoes, but you could be doing multiple types of vegetables at the same time. We won't get into today what all the other ones we could start, but one fantastic resource that I highly recommend is this Maritime Northwest Garden Guide. It lays out by month which plants to sow indoors to transplant, which ones to sow directly in the ground, and it's broken down by month. It also outlines which varieties do well in our climate, which is also very important. But going back to starting our tomatoes from seed, we obviously need pots, we need the seeds, and we need soil. Pots-wise, it could be a lot of different things. They definitely should be on the smaller side. A 2-inch cell or smaller is ideal for starting seeds. The reason being, we don't want their little microenvironment to hold too much moisture. They want moisture, but to not be too wet. Two strategies. The most common one is this type of seed tray, which is a full flat of seedlings. And basically you buy it in a 5-pack. 1 pack fills the whole tray. When it comes time to transplant them, these are compostable, so they can be planted directly in the ground, which minimizes root disturbance. The downside is this is a lot of seeds, especially for an urban home gardener. So today we're going to talk about planting them in these individual cells, which we're a huge fan of. These are by Epic Gardening. This allows you to have all the components you need in a smaller package. So the first step for planting these seeds is put some soil in. So we've got a seed starting mix. This is a special mix. It's not like regular potting soil. It's lighter and fluffier. So I highly recommend it. You can't get away with using regular potting soil if you've got a lot of laying around, but this is definitely a preferred mix. We can start by just dumping some soil in there. And how I like to start is, just smoothing it out. So we put it in there lightly, and there's a lot of excess air in there. So we're gonna just kind of take 2 fingers and get that extra air out. Like so. Okay, that's pretty good. So that's a good depth. We got the extra air out, and it's kind of at a soil depth that when we water it, the soil's not going to just roll over the top. Next, we're gonna plant our seeds. So if you look at the back of your seed packet, it's gonna tell you your seed depth. For these tomatoes, it's 1/4 inch, so we're gonna follow that. If you plant them too low, they're gonna be potentially weak. So don't feel the need to go deeper than it says. Sometimes, I should have thought of this ahead of time, but sometimes the seeds are really small. So I would suggest a dish that you can dump them into. And so here, got my seeds. And what I'm gonna do is actually plant more than one seed per cell. And basically that's gonna give me the most amount of actual transplantable plants for my effort. Seeds are inexpensive, so it's better to overplant them and then thin out the ones that are not quite as strong and leave the stronger ones. So for this, I'm gonna do 2 seeds, maybe 3, whatever my hand picks up in each of these cells. Making sure to get them 1/4 inch deep. Like so. So once we have our seeds planted, we need to introduce the moisture part. You can water from the top with a regular watering can. I would recommend using a watering can that has the rose end on it that distributes the water more evenly. We don't want to flood the seeds. Another strategy is to water them from the bottom. And the great thing about these tray sets is, well, they have their own tray, so we can fill this with water and let it wick, you know, maybe for about 20 minutes or so. And then afterwards, we dump out the excess water. And beyond that, so we've got the humidity taken care of, the moisture. As far as watering frequency, you want them to stay evenly moist but not soggy. So you'll check them frequently, but before they sprout, it's recommended that you use this humidity dome, which is what helps keep the moisture in. It's going to take close to 2 weeks for the seeds to germinate. The warmer it is, the faster they'll germinate. And that's where the next element comes in. This is not required, but definitely helpful. This is called a seedling heat mat. And so it creates heat from the bottom, warming the seedlings to that 65, 75 degrees, which is ideal for quick germination. Beyond that, they need light. So they actually need quite a bit of light, like at least 12 hours of light. So that can be challenging when you're starting seeds in February, which is what we're doing now. You know, if you're starting them indoors when the days are longer, sunny windowsill, south-facing could be adequate. But I do highly recommend using a grow light. These ones also by Epic Gardening are great because they're small and they don't take up a lot of room. A standard seedling seed starting lamp is enough to do, you know, like 3 or 4 of these flats, which is pretty big. So these are great for that. Yeah, so beyond that, we've got our heat, our light, and our moisture, and then we just have to wait. Maybe we'll do another video after these have sprouted to show what to do after that. But basically, the idea is after they've sprouted, and that means they form true leaves. So when the first thing that's going to come out of the soil is called a cotyledon. It's a little kidney-shaped thing that looks like a leaf. Once they produce true leaves, then you'll want to remove the heat dome, remove the heat mat, and then just keep them evenly moist until it's time to transplant outdoors. I hope this video has been helpful. Like and subscribe for more content, and happy gardening.